What's going on, guys? My name's Theoatrix, and today we saw a new game update for Old School. There were some small changes to the Revenant caves, as well as over 20 different changes to the Trailblazer League, with some tweaks to relics and a lot of bug fixes. In addition, we got a range of stats and information regarding the league from JMods, which I'll briefly cover in this video. I'll start off with quickly going through the changes to the Revenants. So a few weeks back, the Revenant caves were revamped to have Revenants spread all around the caves rather than in one single area. This was done in an effort to stop clans from farming gold here, where a lot of gold ended up being real-world traded. With that update, they also made changes to the drop table of Revenants, and on release, these changes weren't clearly released to the public, but now, a few weeks later, we know exactly what's changed. The overall loot that you get from Revenants now has been reduced by around 20% if you're unskulled and 35% if you're skulled. The base drop rates of the Revenant weapons has remained the same as it was before, but if you're skulled, the drop rates are considerably rarer than before. I'm going to use the Revenant Knight for reference. The base drop rate is 1 in 40,000 for one of these items, but when you're skulled, it previously was 1 in 14,000, but now it's 1 in 22,000. The ancient statuettes have also seen reductions in only their skulled drop rates. On the screen, I have the before and after drop rates, and you'll notice that in some cases, the drop rates are twice as rare. In terms of the weapon and armor drops, some of them are actually more common after this change, but there's also some that are less common. For example, the rune plate body drop was 1 in 57, whereas now it's 1 in 53. But the dragon plate legs were 1 in 114 and now are 1 in 213. The main items that were responsible for the drop in profitability though were the skilling resource drops. Both the drop consistency and the drop quantities were both reduced. For example, instead of getting a maximum of 100 U-logs as a drop, you can now get only a maximum of 40, and they're also rarer to get. Instead of 50 manta rays, you can now only get 15. So these skilling items are the main factor for the reduced loot, particularly for when you're unskulled. But when you're skulled, the main thing that affected the profitability is the reduced drop rate of the unique Revenant items. To put this into perspective, before the update, the average loot from a Revenant Knight was 42k unskulled and 52k skulled. Now it's 27k unskulled and 32k skulled. From a Revenant Goblin, before it was 4.5 unskulled and 7.3 when you're skulled, whereas now it's only 3.3 unskulled and 4.6 skulled. In today's game update, Jagex doubled the amount of Revenant ether that you get from all Revenants, and this is likely so that the Bracelet of Ethereum can last longer without having to refill it yourself. Jagex also increased the respawn speed of Revenants, since a lot of players were finding that they had to wait around after killing the previous Revenant, so this update will increase the overall GP per hour by a little bit. With these Revenant changes, I mentioned in a previous video that all of the Slayer monsters that previously roamed the Revenant caves were moved to a Slayer dungeon near Venenatus. Well, this Slayer cave now has a new music track after this update, so if you have a music cape, you'll need to revisit this cave to be able to wear it again. Now let's talk about the changes to the Trailblazer League. One of the key questions that players have been asking since the start of the league is there any way to change your relic, since particularly Last Recall is far more powerful than the other relics in its tier? Jagex discussed this in their recent livestream, and Mod Kieran explains that being able to change your relic would reduce the importance of strategizing and choosing the best relic for you, and it would also lead to some new metas where players could abuse one relic before changing over to another one.
The fact that you can't is what makes the choice important. If you could just undo it, there's no significance to your choice, and you really have to think about about it. If you just YOLO a decision, you expect to probably end up in that situation.
So if you want to change your relic, I'd suggest making a new account and starting fresh on the league. There's still 63 days remaining in the league, only 7 days have passed, so you still have so much time to go and it's not too late to restart. That's actually what I did. I got to 99 thieving and tier 3 on my main account and decided that choosing Eternal Jeweler was the wrong decision, so I've started again and started making progress on a new account. In the same JMod livestream, they revealed some stats about the relics that people chose. These stats date back a few days, but it gives a good indication of how people thought each relic weighed up towards the start. In tier 1, Endless Harvest was chosen by 41% of players, Production Master was chosen by 31%, and Skilling Prodigy was chosen by 28%. So Endless Harvest was the most popular, and personally, I think it's the best choice as well. For tier 2 relics, Last Recall was by far the most common, with 67% of players choosing it. Eternal Jeweler had 28%, and Fairy's Flight, only 5% of players chose it. In tier 3, Fluid Strikes was by far the most popular, and 70% of players chose this one. Quickshot was chosen by 26%, and Double Cast was chosen by only 4%, making it the least popular relic out of the 3 tiers. In today's game update, there was a huge number of minor changes to the league, mostly bug fixes and small glitch fixes, but also a couple of major changes. The Last Recall relic got a small change. Before this update, you could use Last Recall to teleport back into one of the God Wars boss rooms, and it would take you inside, but this led to a range of issues, including overpopulating the God Wars boss rooms and leading players to not be able to get loot because of the Iron Man aspect. More importantly though, if a player wanted to hop and find an empty world, they would want to leave the God Wars room, which meant they'd need to use another 40 kill count to be able to go back in. So with that, the Last Recall relic now teleports you outside of the God Wars boss room, but still keeps your kill count as it was, so that way you can find an empty world or start a private bossing instance without having to sacrifice another 40 kill count. Fluid Strikes, the tier 3 relic, also saw some changes. Fluid Strikes reduces all incoming damage by 15%, and with that, when a boss monster or any monster was about to deal the final blow to a player, that 15% reduction would keep them alive. Even if the player had a really low hit points and the boss could have hit a lot higher, since the game calculates the damage from how many hit points is left, it would not kill the player. After this update, this no longer happens, and if an NPC's attack is intended to deal your entire amount of health remaining, the 15% damage reduction will not come into play, leading you to die. Jagex states that while they avoid making big changes to the league, this was an unintended mechanic, so it did require a hotfix. There was also some fixes to the Quickshot relic. There were some bugs surrounding the use of its 90% ammo saving effect with ranged, since when you used an Ava's accumulator or ranging skill cape with it, there would be no changes. Now you can have both working at the same time, so there's now a 98% chance of saving ammo instead of 90%. Along with these relic changes, there was a massive list of small changes that were bug fixes, mostly where certain tasks couldn't be completed or they weren't registering properly. I won't go through all of them, but I'll go through the main ones. After unlocking Kandarin, the Rune Mysteries quest is now auto-completed, and this is because some of the quests that you automatically complete in Kandarin require Rune Mysteries to be complete, like the Swan Song quest. Towards the start of the league, players were finding it impossible to get their Drayman staff back if they lost it, so Jagex made it so the league tutor in Lumbridge can give you an unlimited supply of Drayman staves. The Double Cast relic now saves the runes that you would use in the mage training arena. Previously, it was bugged so that it wouldn't save any runes. Any additional pay dirt that you obtained with the Endless Harvest relic in the Motherlode mine would automatically turn into coal once you cleaned it. After this update, it can be any ore, not just coal. So those are the main changes, and as I said, all of the other ones were just small bug fixes. But there's one other key thing that we heard on the JMod livestream that I want to talk about, and it's Deadman Mode. The JMods were asked whether the future Deadman Mode tournaments will get more development time put into it, a similar amount of time as the league did. And Mod Kieran says that they certainly do plan to make a lot of changes and improvements, with potentially introducing a task system and definitely having more development time.
Deadman needs love before we do another one. That is for sure. What I don't want to do is just do Deadman again. Like, not like it was. It needs work.
Sure.
Task system? Maybe. Like, that sort of stuff to mix it up. So,
anyways guys, that's the gist of today's game update. If you enjoyed this kind of update video, be sure to leave a like, and if you're new around here, subscribe to my channel for more old school content. The Firecape mouse pads are now available to pre-order again, after being sold out for around a month. If you want to get one, be sure to order before they sell out again. There's also 3 other designs in stock, the Vorkarth, Farming, and Wilderness design. So if you need a gaming mousepad, check out my merch store linked down in the description. Anyways, thanks for watching and have a nice day.